Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 23. एकोनविंशति मे वृष्णिषु प्राप्य जन्मनि रामकृष्णाविति भुवो भगवान् हरद्वरम्.
In the 19th and 20th incarnations, the Lord advented himself as Lord Balram and Lord Krishna in the family of Vrishni in the Yadu dynasty. And by so doing, he removed the burden of the world.
Text 24. Tatah kalau sampravrutte sammohaya suradvisham buddho namna janasutaha kekateshu bhavishyati.
Then, in the beginning of Kali Yuga, the Lord will appear as Lord Buddha, the son of Anjana, in the province of Gaya, just for the purpose of deluding those who are envious of the faithful theist.
Text 25. Atasau yuga sandhyayam dasyuprayeshu rajasu janita vishnu yashaso nam kalkir jagatpatihi.
Thereafter, at the conjunction of the two yugas, the Lord of the creation will take his birth as the Kalki incarnation and become the son of Vishnu Yasha. At this time, almost all the rulers of earth will have degenerated into plunderers.
Text 26. Avatarahya sankeya hare sattva nidher dvijaha yata vidasinah kulya sarasah syu sahasrashaha.
O Brahmanas, the incarnations of the Lord are innumerable, like rivulets flowing from inexhaustible source of water.
Text 27. Rushayo manavo deva manuputra mahaujasaha kalaha sarve hare reva saprajapatayah smrutaha.
All the rishis, Manus, demigods, and descendants of Manu, who are specially powerful, are plenary portion or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. This also includes the Prajapatis.
Text 28. Yete chamshakala pumsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrarivyakulam Lokam Mrudayanti Yuge Yuge.
All of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheist. The Lord incarnates to protect the theists.
Text 29. Janma guhyam bhagavato yayetat prayato naraha sayam pratar grunan bhaktya dukkha grama dvimuchyate.
Whoever carefully recites the mysterious appearances of the Lord with devotion in the morning and in the evening gets relief from miseries of life.
Text 30. Etadrupam bhagavato hyarupasya chidatmanaha maya gunair virachitam mahadadibiratmani.
The connection of the Virat universal form of the Lord as appearing in the material world is imaginary. It is to enable the less intelligent and neophytes to adjust to the idea of the Lord's having form. But factually, the Lord has no material form.
Text 31. Yata nabasi meghaugo renurva parthivo nile evam drashtari drushyatvam aropitama buddhibihi.
Clouds and dust are carried by the air, but less intelligent persons say that the sky is cloudy and the air is dirty. Similarly, they also implant material bodily conceptions at the spirit self.
Text 32. Atah param yadavyaktam avyudaguna-brumhitam adrushtashrutavastutvat sajivo yat punarbhavaha.
Beyond the gross conception of form is another subtle connection of form, which is without formal shape and is unseen, unheard, and unmanifest. The living being has his form beyond this subtlety, otherwise, he could not have repeated births.
Text 33. Yatre me sadasadrupe pratishidde swasamvida avidyayatmani krute iti tad brahma darshanam.
Whenever a person experiences by self-realization that both the gross and subtle bodies have nothing to do with the pure self, at that time he sees himself as well as the Lord.
Text 34. Yadyesho parata devi maya vaisharadi matihi sampanna yeveti vidur mahimni sve mahiyate.
If the illusory energy subsides and the living entity becomes fully enriched with knowledge by the grace of the Lord, then he becomes at once enlightened with self-realization and thus becomes situated in his own glory.
Text 35. Evam janmani karmani hyakartura janasya cha varnayanti sma kavayo veda guhyani frutpate.
Thus, learned men describe the births and activities of the unborn and inactive, which is undiscoverable even in the Vedic literatures. He is the Lord of the heart.
Text 36. Sava idam vishvamamo galilaha srujatyavatyatti na sajjatesmin bhuteshu chantarhita atmatantra shadvargikam jikrati shadguneshaha.
The Lord, whose activities are always spotless, is the master of the six senses and is fully omnipotent with six opulences. He creates the manifested universes, maintains them, and annihilates them without being in the least affected. He is within every living being and is always independent.
Text 37. Na chasya kaschinni punena datur avaiti jantuh kumanisha utihi namani rupani manovachobi santanvato natacharyami vaknyaha.
The foolish, with a poor fund of knowledge, cannot know the transcendental nature of the forms, names, and activities of the Lord, who is playing like an actor in a drama, nor can they express such things, neither in their speculation nor in their words.
Text 38. Saveda dhatuh padavim parasya duranta viryasya ratangapane yo mayaya santataya nuvritya bhajeta tatpada saroja gandham.
Only those who render unreserved, uninterrupted, favorable service unto the lotus feet of the Lord Krishna, who carries the wheel of the chariot in his hand can know the creator of the universe in his full glory, power, and transcendence.
Text 39. Ateha danya bhagavanta ittam yadvasudeve kila lokanate kurvanti sarvatmakamatma bhavam nayatra bhuyah parivarta ugraha.
Only by making such inquiries in the world can one can be successful and perfectly cognizant. For such inquiries invoke transcendental ecstatic love into the personality of Godhead, who's the proprietor of all the universes and guarantees 10% immunity from the dreadful repetition of birth and death.
Text 40. Idam bhagavatam nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishihi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Danyam Swastyayanam Mahat.
This Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God and is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect.
Text 41. Tadidam grahayamasa sutamatmavatam varam sarva vedetihasanam saram samudrutam.
Sri Vyasadeva delivered it to his son, who is the most respected amongst the self-realized, after extracting the cream of the Vedic literatures and histories of the universe.
Text 42. Satu samshravayamasa Maharajam Parikshitam Prayopavishtam Gangayam Paritam Paramarshibhihi.
Sukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, in his turn delivered the Bhagavatam to the great Emperor Parikshit, who sat surrounded by sages on the bank of the Ganges, awaiting death without taking food or drink.
Text 43. Krishne Swadamo Pagate Dharmajnanadibhihi saha Kalau Nashtadrushamesha Puranarko Dunoditaha.
This Bhagavad Puran is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali should get light from this Puran.
Text 44. Tatra kirtayato vipra viprarsher bhuri tejasaha aham chadyagamam tatra nimishtastadanugrahat soham vahshravayishyami yataditam yatamati harihi om sat sat.
O learned Brahmanas, when Sukadeva Goswami recited Bhagavatam there in the presence of Emperor Parikshit, I heard him with rapt attention, and thus by his mercy, I learned the Bhagavatam from that great and powerful sage. Now I shall try to make you hear the very same thing as I learned it from him and as I have realized it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Wow, that was so nice. Amazing Sanskrit recitation, Gita Mataji, and amazing English reading.
All glories to
Mataji.
Srila Prabhupada.
It was so uplifting when we were hearing. Perfect pronunciation, both of you. Mataji, I think Gita Mataji also, like you were, all the long vowels and short vowels as you were reading, where to put stress. It seemed like you learned it properly. So nice.
We should learn to
Krishna's
recite
mercy.
in Sanskrit.
Amazing. And you're
Thank
reading
you,
Bible.
Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So much devotion you're reading. You just uplifting for everyone. You just felt like just keep on just doing this. It's so nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Thanks. I will share once again. And yeah, the verse for discussion today is Canto 1, Chapter 3, verse number 26. I will recite the verse once again. We'll read the translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhakti Nashtaki. Verse number 26. Avataraya Sankheya Hare Sattva Nidher Dvija Yatha Vidasina Kulya Sarasa Shuh Sastrashaha. Word for word. Avataraha, incarnations. He, certainly. Asankhya, an innumerable. Harehe, of Hari the Lord. Sattva Nidehe, of the ocean of goodness. Dvijaha, the Brahmanas. Yatha, as it is. Avidashinaha, inexhaustible. Kulyaha, rivulets. Sarasaha, of vast lakes. Shuhu, are Sahasrasa, thousands of. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O Brahmanas, the incarnations of the Lord are innumerable, like rivulets flowing from inexhaustible sources of water. Purport. Would anyone like to read the purport today?
I'll read it, Prabhuji, if you like, or
Yes.
maybe somebody else.
Maybe someone who else wants to read it?
I had asked Prabhuji, but doesn't matter whoever it is.
No, you can read, Mataji.
Thank you.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Can I start, Prabhuji?
Yeah, please.
Oh, the screen has gone, Prabhuji. I can't see now.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I can see now. Yes, I can see now, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. The list of incarnation of the personality of Godhead given herein is not complete. It is only a partial view of all the incarnation. There are many others, such as Sri Hayagriva, Hari, Hamsha, Vishnigrabha, Vibhu, Satyasena, Vaikuntha, Sarvabhama, Vishvakshena, Dharmashetu, Sudhama, Yogashavara, Bhanu, and others of the bygone ages. Sri Prahlada Maharaj said in his prayer, "My Lord, you manifest as many incarnations as there are species of life, namely the aquatics, the vegetables, the reptiles, the birds, the beasts, the men, the demigod, etc., just for the maintenance of the faithful and annihilation of the unfaithful. You advent yourself in this way in accordance with the necessity of the different yogas. In the Kali Yoga, you have incarnate grabbed as a devotee. This incarnation of the Lord in the Kali Yuga in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are many other places, both in the Bhagavatam and in other scriptures, in which the incarnation of the Lord as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explicitly mentioned. In the Brahma Samhita, also it is said indirectly that although there are many incarnations of the Lord, such as Rama, Narsimha, Baraha, Matsya, Kurma, and many others, the Lord himself sometimes incarnates in person. Lord Krishna and Lords Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are not therefore incarnations, but the original source of all other incarnations. This will be clearly explained in the next sloka. So the Lord is inexhaustible source for innumerable incarnation, which are not always mentioned. But such incarnations are distinguished by specific extraordinary feasts which are impossible to be performed by any living being. That is the general test to identify an incarnation of the Lord, directly and indirectly empowered. Some incarnations mentioned above are almost plenary portion. For instance, the Kumaras are empowered with transcendental knowledge. Sri Narada is empowered with devotional service. Maharaja Prithu is an empowered incarnation with executive function. The Matsur incarnation is directly a planetary portion. So the innumerable incarnation of the Lord are manifested all over the universe constantly without cessation as water flows constantly from waterfalls. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Hare Mataji. Very nice. Thank you so much for it. So, chant the Mangalacharan prayers. Yes. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Advaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Se Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tatta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyo Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschata Deshakarine Gam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Giram Yakripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinakarine. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, devotees, for being here. I seek everyone's blessings. So many of you are senior devotees, senior to me in all aspects, either in age or definitely in consciousness. So I seek everyone's blessings so we're able to speak something useful for everyone. So the verse for today, discuss the purport a little bit. And then we can so translation once again. O Brahmanas, the incarnations of the Lord are innumerable, like rivulets flowing from inexhaustible sources of water. It's amazing analogy as well. Like the analogies from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam is so beautiful. Like you can instantly imagine, what the subject matter is and how it is being explained. If you go to up the mountains sometimes and we see in the small streams going in the mountain, from so many streams will be coming up from so many different sources. There is a source, one source, but there will be innumerable streams coming from everywhere. So likewise, you can imagine that way and say, this is the Krishna is the source, and all these different incarnations, innumerable, can't count them, coming from that inexhaustible source, Sri Krishna. So there is a long list of incarnation that we have, Srila Sutta Goswami has delineated 22 incarnations. Now this verse is saying it's only a few, but there are so many, innumerable. And Srila Prabhupada has also mentioned in the purport that there are many others which are not covered. Only a small list is cited here. And Srila Prabhupada has himself has quoted some more incarnations. So I was thinking we'd do this way. We go through those incarnations just for our understanding, where they appear in Srimad Bhagavatam or where else the references are. And then we can discuss a little bit on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance, and then we can discuss how we see Krishna in our own life. How do we see that? Because we can say that all these incarnations appeared at the time that we were not there, or we were there, but we don't know. We can't remember. And so how do we relate to this? And how do we see Krishna in our life, day-to-day lives, and have that connection with Krishna? So Srila Prabhupada has mentioned Hayagriva. So I think I can share the screen once again. So I had to mute some devotees. Apologies for that. Okay, so the first incarnation that Srila Prabhupada has quoted in the verse is Hayagriva. So there may be more references, but in the 7th canto as well, it says that, my dear Lord, when you appeared as Hayagriva with the head of a horse, you killed 2 demons known as Madhu and Kaitaba, who were full of the modes of passion and ignorance. Then you delivered the Vedic knowledge to Lord Brahma. For this reason, all the great saints accept your forms as transcendental, untinged by material qualities. That's one reference for Hayagriva, which was not covered in the list of 22s. And this is in the 7th canto, 9th chapter. And it's interesting. Madhu Kaitaba do Mare. So we were Jai Jagdish Hare, if you somehow been in India or related to this. This was sung everywhere, Jai Jagdish Hare. And there will be reference of this. This is, I remember from once I was a little boy, we always hear that. Now we are actually reading what it actually means and what was the name of the Lord, or who appeared exactly for killing those demons. I was never aware that every time Lord appears, Lord takes a particular form for the particular purpose. So in Bhagavad Gita, we read obviously it's Krishna, but he takes different forms. And Krishna says, Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glami Bhavati Bharata. It comes in, whenever there is a need in every yuga and to annihilate the miscreants. But what is interesting is it comes for a specific purpose in a specific form, which is so nice. And then the next is Srila Prabhupada calls Hari. So I'm going to open that. And that's in the 8th canto, first chapter is mentioned. Also in this Manvantara, the Supreme Lord Vishnu took birth from the womb of Harini, the wife of Harimedha, and he was known as Hari. Hari saved his devotee Gajendra, the king of elephants, from the mouth of a crocodile. See, this is amazing. So we've been discussing Gajendra pastimes, but when Lord appeared specifically to save Gajendra, he appeared as Hari. So that's Hari. And then Hamsa. And that's in, again, 11th canto. Hamsa. I think sometimes back we discussed, in another class it was discussed, Lord Hamsa appears on the request of Lord Brahma, because Lord Brahma was asked some question by the four Kumaras, which Lord Brahma did not want to answer himself. So he prayed to the Lord, and Lord Hamsa appeared personally to give that knowledge, the religious principle that brings supreme happiness to the practitioner. So, my dear Lord Almighty, armed one, you previously in your form of Lord Hamsa, you spoke to Lord Brahma those religious principles that bring supreme happiness to the practitioner. My dear Madhav, now much time has passed, and that which you previously instructed will soon practically cease to exist. So, subdear Hani, we will not go into the background of what it is. It will be a long time. Anyone knows Prishni Garbha?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. That was son of the Prishni and Stapa.
Yes.
His name was Prishni Garbha.
Yes,
Yeah.
perfect.
Thank you.
And when did he appear? Yes, this particular reference that is given in the Bhagavatam is here. So when Lord appeared to Dhruva, this is second canto, it says, being insulted by sharp words spoken by the co-wife of the king, even in his presence, Prince Dhruva, though only a boy, took to severe penances in the forest, and the Lord, being satisfied by his prayer, awarded him the Dhruva planet, which is worshipped by great sages, both upward and downward. Somewhere here it says he appeared as Prishni Garbha. Yeah, so the Lord incarnated himself as Prishni Garbha, just to satisfy a pure devotee of the Lord. So when the Lord appeared, who specifically to give darshan to Dhruva, that was the incarnation which is named as Prishni Garbha. Amazing, isn't it? It's nice. And then the Vibhu. These are all different incarnations in different manvantaras, which are either, gone by, or maybe they'll be, coming in the future. We'll discuss that more quickly. We'll run through them. Vedashira was a very celebrated rishi. From the womb of his wife, whose name was Tushita, came the avatara named Vibhu. That's all last mentioned. But it is another manvantara. Satyasen, Vaikuntha, Sarvabhauma, Vishwaksena, Dharmasetu, they all appeared in different manvantaras. There is a very nice, actually there's one sentence for all of them. So Satyasena appeared again in the 8th canto, first chapter, 25th verse, similarly is explained. Just for our own purification, we are reading this. In the Manvantara, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared from the womb of Sunrita, who was the wife of Dharma, the demigod in charge of religion. The Lord was celebrated as Satyasena and appeared with other demigods known as Satyavratas. Vaikuntha, from the combination of Shubhra and his wife Vaikuntha, there appeared a Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vaikuntha, along with demigods who were his personal plenary expansions. From Vaikuntha comes the Vaikuntha planets. Then there is Sarvabhauma. That's also mentioned in the 8th canto. Shukdev Goswami explains, that all the manos and the different dynasties of this, the sun god and the moon god, like that. And then it goes on in the 9th canto, talks about Lord Ram, and the 10th canto, the Samambonam for Krishna. So in the 8th Manvantara. So we are at the moment in the 7th Manvantara. In the 8th Manvantara, the greatly powerful personality of Godhead, Sarvabhauma, will take birth. His father will be Devaguhya and his mother will be Saraswati. He will take the kingdom away from Purandara, Lord Indra, and give it to Bali Maharaj. So this is in the next Manvantara, Bali Maharaj will become the Indra. It's mentioned in the Bhagavatam. It will be more somewhere, I think, mentioned again in the 11th or 12th canto. I read that. So that's interesting information as well. Lots of information. Okay, now what we will do is, this is Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 20. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Sanatana Goswami in the Science of Absolute Truth, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains and gives details of all the incarnations, various types of incarnations. That will be covered more in the verse number 28. So I'm not going to go through those. I'll start with 320 a little bit, and we can read from there. Maybe someone can read better. Please read from text 320. Very nicely explained. Anyone would like to read loudly? Maybe someone is reading, but not loud enough. Do you read louder, Mataji?
Yes. Yes. In one day of Brahma, there are 14 changes of the Manus. And during the reign of each of these 14 Manus, an incarnation is manifested by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Should I read?
Yeah, yes.
There are, text 321, there are 14 Manvantar avatars in one day of Brahma, 420 in 1 month, and 5,040 in 1 year. Text 322.
Yes, please.
During the 100 years of Brahma's life, there are 504,000 Manvantar avatars.
This is how we say there are so many innumerable incarnations. This is the evidence. Yes, please, Mata, you read.
Text 323. The number of Manvantar avatars for only one universe has been given. One can only imagine how many Manvantar avatars exist in the innumerable universes. In all these universes, are Brahmas exist only during one exhalation of Mahavishnu. Text 324. There is no limit to the exhalations of Mahavishnu. Just see how impossible it is to speak or write of only the Manvantar avatars. Text 325.
Speaking. Go on.
In this Swayambhuva Manvantar, the avatar is named Yagna. In the Swasaro Chisa Manvantar, his name Vibhu. In the Uttama Manvantar, his name Satyasen. And in the Tamsa Manvantar, his name Hari. Next 6. In Raivatar Manvantar, the avatar is named Vaikut. And in the Chakshusha Manvantar, his name Ajit. In the Vaivasvat Manvantar, his name Vaman. And in the Sarvanya Manvantar, his name Saurabhuma. In the Daksha Sarvanya Manvantar, his name Rushab. Text 37. In the Brahmas Savanya Manvantar, the avatar is named Vishwakshena. And in Dharma Sarvanya, is named Dharmasetu. In the Rudra Sarvanya, his name Sudama. And in the Dev Sarvanya, his name Yogeshwar. Text 28. In the Indra Sarvanya Manvantar, the avatar is named Bhradbhanu. These are the names of the 14 avatars in the 14 Manvantars.
That's amazing. So up to, we are in the Vaivashvata Manvantara at the moment. And from here we can see we had Vamana in this Manvantara. And then all the incarnations I mentioned already, all the predictions are here.
Sanatan, now hear from me about the Yuga avatars, the incarnations for the millenniums. First of all, there are 4 yugs: Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. In the 4 yugs, Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali, the Lord incarnates in 4 colors: white, red, black, and yellow, respectively. These are the colors of the incarnations in different millenniums. This child formerly had 3 colors according to the prescribed color for different millenniums. Formerly he was white, red, and yellow, and now he has assumed a blackish color.
This is Garga Muni speaking to Nanda Maharaj. Yes, Mataji.
In Satyayuga, the Lord appeared in a body colored white with 4 arms and matted hair. He wore tree bark and wore a black antelope skin. He wore a sacred thread and a garland of Rudraksh beads. He carried a rod and a water pot, and he was a brahmachari. In Treta Yuga, the Lord appeared in a body that had a reddish hue and 4 arms. There were 3 distinctive lines on his abdomen, and his hair was golden. His form manifested the Vedic knowledge. He bore the symbols of a sacrificial spoon, ladle, and so on. As the white incarnation, the Lord taught religion and meditation. He offered benedictions to Kardama Muni, and in this way showed his causeless mercy. In Satyayuga, the people were generally advanced in spiritual knowledge and could meditate upon Krishna very easily. The people's occupational duty in Treta Yuga was to perform great sacrifices. This was induced by the personality of Godhead in his reddish incarnation. In Dwapar Yuga, the people's occupational duty was to worship the lotus feet of Krishna. Therefore, Lord Krishna appeared in a blackish body, personally induced people to worship him. In Dwapar Yuga, the personality of Godhead appears in a blackish hue. He is dressed in yellow. He holds his own weapons and is decorated with the Kastuba jewel and the mark of Shivast. This is how his symptoms are described. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, expanded as Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. By this mantra, the people worship Lord Krishna in Dwapar Yuga. In Kali Yuga, the occupational duty of the people is to chant congregationally the holy name of Krishna. In the age of Kali, Lord Krishna assumes a golden color and, accompanied by his personal devotees, introduces Hari Nam Sankirtan, the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. By this process, he delivers love for Krishna to the general populace. Lord Krishna, the son of Nand Maharaj, personally introduces the occupational duty of the age of Kali. He personally chants and dances in ecstatic love, and thus the entire world chants congregationally. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the name of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. In the other 3 yugas, Satya, Treta, and Dwapar, people perform different types of spiritual activities. Whatever results they achieve in that way, they can achieve in Kali Yuga simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. My dear King, although Kali Yuga is full of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. It is that simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. Whatever result was obtained in Satya Yuga by meditating on Vishnu, in Treta Yuga by performing sacrifices, and in Dwapar Yuga by serving the Lord's lotus feet, can also be obtained in Kali Yuga simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Whatever is achieved by meditation in Satya Yuga, by the performance of yajna in Treta Yuga, or by the worship of Krishna's lotus feet in Dwapar Yuga, is also obtained in the age of Kali by simply by chanting the glories of Lord Keshav. Those who are advanced and highly qualified and interested in the essence of life know the good qualities of Kali Yuga. Such people worship the age of Kali because in these days one can advance his spiritual knowledge and attain life's goal simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. As stated before, when I described the incarnations of the material modes, Guna avatars, one should consider that these incarnations are also unlimited and that no one can count them. Thus, I have given a description of the incarnations of the 4 different yugas. After hearing all this, Sanatan Goswami gave an indirect hint to the Lord. Sanatan Goswami had been a minister under Nawab Hussain Shah, and he was undoubtedly as intelligent as Brihaspati, the chief priest of the heavenly kingdom. Due to the Lord's unlimited mercy, Sanatan Goswami questioned him without hesitation. Sanatan Goswami said, I'm a very insignificant living entity. I'm low and poorly behaved. How can I understand who is the incarnation for this age of Kali? Sri Chaitanya Prabhu replied, as in other ages, an incarnation is accepted according to the directions of the Shastras. In this age of Kali, an incarnation of God should be accepted in that way. The Vedic literatures composed by the omniscient Mahamuni Vyasdev are evidence of all spiritual existence. Only through these revealed scriptures can all conditioned souls attain knowledge. An actual incarnation of God never says, I am God, or I am an incarnation of God. The great sage Vyasdev, knowing all, has already recorded the characteristics of the avatars in the Shastras. The Lord does not have a material body, yet he descends among human beings in his transcendental body as an incarnation. Therefore, it is very difficult for us to understand who is an incarnation. Only by his extraordinary prowess and uncommon activities, which are impossible for embodied living entities, can one partially understand the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By two symptoms, personal characteristics and marginal characteristics, the great sages can understand an object. Bodily features, nature, and form are the personal characteristics. Knowledge of his activities provide the marginal characteristics. In the auspicious invocation at the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva has described the Supreme Personality of Godhead by these symptoms.
Okay,
Whom
Mataji. Thank you. Okay, I think, yeah, that's all. I'm just conscious of time. Thank you so much. But it's in brief, we could hear actually all that we discuss or devotees speak or we hear from Prabhupada is all Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself speaking to Sanatana Goswami, explaining in every detail different incarnations and also speaking about his own incarnation as well, and says why it is that how do we understand the incarnation, because they will never speak I am God. So Vyasadeva and the sages and the scriptures actually explain which incarnation, what will be the symptom, what will be the different bodily symptoms like that. And Mahaprabhu's appearance was predicted in the Bhagavad Puran and so many other Purans. I think there was a document that was shared by someone at the time of Chaitanya Charitamrita distribution. That, practically all the Puranas and so many different, even Upanishads and Vedas, it is explained. And there is also the mention of the color of Mahaprabhu, yellow appearing. So that we just heard Gargamuni himself. So there are enough evidences of Mahaprabhu, appearing as Channa Avatar, which is the hidden incarnation. Because in this Kali Yuga, people do not understand. The knowledge is very limited, and there are already so many incarnations there. So people would take very cheaply, which was not the intention. And there are many reasons, but this is one of the reasons why Mahaprabhu's incarnation was hidden. And the other obvious other reason also because of his internal and internal reason for him to taste the devotional nectar of his own worship, his own love. That was Mahaprabhu's appearance. And I think we've covered that quite a lot. Krishna Vardhan Tusha Krishna Sango Pastra Pashadam Yajnatan Kirtana Praya Jayanti Sumeresa. There's also, does anyone chant Vishnu Sahasranam? I'm sure many would be. Is anyone in the group here who chants or used to chant? It's very common.
I've chanted it, Prabhuji, in the past, yes.
Used to chant, isn't it? Like it's so.
Chant as well, Prabhuji.
Hemango Varna.
Yeah, that's it. You want to say that? Suvarna Varna Hemango.
I can't remember it, but I remember that was the reference to Mahaprabhu.
Yes, Suvarna Varna Hemanga Varnanga Sandanangadi Sanyastaka Chama Shanto Nishta Shanti Parayana. Very popular. So that's also one of the 1,000 names of Krishna, there is this name appearing where it says Mahaprabhu or Krishna appears as with the Suvarna Varna, which is the golden Varna is the complexion. And likewise. And Mahaprabhu himself to his devotees, personal devotees, how does Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna and Mahaprabhu, they are the avataris. So they are not the avatars, they are the avataris who take this incarnation. Mahaprabhu himself, I was saying, actually displayed his various incarnation forms to his personal devotees. Like does anyone know whom he showed Nasimha? Narasimha, one day Srivas Thakur was praying to Lord Narasimha very, profusely because of the imminent danger coming up from the Yavanas. And Mahaprabhu comes on his door and knocks on the door and says, that you are who you are worshipping, I'm here. I'm outside. Open the door. And Srivas Thakur down, so what happened? Why is Mahaprabhu saying that? And then Mahaprabhu is knocking on the door. Open the door. And Srivas Thakur opens the door and Mahaprabhu comes in and he displays his Narasimha. And he like it said, he's 7 feet tall and half lion, half Nara, half human. And then he's like roaring. And he actually said I think the Chaitanya Bhagavad, he goes onto the street roaring, he's angry. And everyone's so scared, like Mahaprabhu coming in that way. So he displayed his own in a Narasimha form. Then he displayed his Vara form to Murari Gupta, and he displayed his 6-armed form to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, also to Nityanand Prabhu. Then he showed his universal form to Advaita Acharya, and there's so many different references. He showed his Shadbhuj form, 6-armed form as well, where he's got the kamandalu, and he's got the danda, and he's got the arrow and bow and the flute, and like that. And he himself shown his different forms of his own different incarnations, just to give joy to his devotees. So that's 2040. Okay, so now we come to the third point. So we discussed the various pastimes, various references, Mahaprabhu's appearance. And now how do we take this in our own life? So for that, Bhagavad Gita is the principle. And Krishna says, Yumam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mayi pashyati tasya ham na pranashyami sacha me na pranashyati. So what he says is, for one who sees me everywhere, Yumam pashyati sarvatra. He sees me everywhere, sarvam cha mayi pashyati. And he sees everything in me. For him, I am never lost, and he is never lost to me. So this is for us now to see how do we see the Lord. So this is Lord's instruction that if we never want to be lost for him, or we never want to lose him, what is the instruction here? So Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra. So we have to see the Lord everywhere, and see everything in him or everything in relation to him. So this is the mood that devotees develop. So like one time Prabhupada was asked, have you seen Krishna? And now he said, do you not see? Like he can see, Prabhupada could see Krishna everywhere. How could he see everywhere? Because he has the vision to see Krishna everywhere. And Krishna says, actually gives so many different examples in Bhagavad Gita that we can actually see him everywhere. And we'll also come to the point discussion of how we see that. So Krishna says, Asoham apsu konteya prabhasmi sasasureyo pranava sarva vedeshu sabdake parusham nashya. 7th chapter. Rasoham apsu konteya. So I am the taste of water. Prabhasami sashi suryayo. Prabha is the light. Asmi, so I am that light in the shashi, in the moon and in the sun. Pranava sarva vedeshu. Pranava is the Om. So like any scripture, any great scripture starts with Om. So Pranava is Om and Sarva Vedeshu Shabda. Okay, Parusham Nishu. So when we start Bhagavatam with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudaya, the first letter is Om. Likewise, whatever Om Tatsad in, we finish with Om. And all the scriptures, the Om has to be there. The Om is the invocation of the Lord. And Shabda K is the sound in the ether. And Paurisham Nrishu is the ability in men, Paurisham Nrishu. So whenever we see that, when we taste the water, we remember Krishna. And this is all like, how do we see Krishna? This is all not directly Krishna. This is the energy of Krishna. So when we see the energy of Krishna, that's to remind us of Krishna. That's the difference between the impersonalist and personalist. The impersonalist when they would just see the taste of water, but they see the energy, but they don't see the Lord. They don't see the person behind it. So devotees, because we see Krishna as person, so when we interact with the energy of Krishna, we remember Krishna. So the taste of water, like sun, moon, like it is said, like how is the water coming? The water just dropping from the sky. This is the Lord's mercy again. That comes to the same point. How the water is dropping from the sky. So when the rain comes, we don't need to be miserable of it's raining all the time. They think, wow, the Lord is coming. The water is coming from the Lord. Yeah. And without water, what can exist? And this is the sun is like the, in one lecture Maharaj was speaking, it says like a fireball, up out of nowhere there's a fireball there in the sky, and it's giving light and heat to everyone. Without the light and the heat, we can't exist. And moon also, the cooling light comes from the moon, and we'll come to more of it. So when we see all this, remember Krishna. Then Krishna says again, 7 chapters, Spunyo Gandha Prithivamcha Tejas Chasmi Vibhavaso Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu Apaschasmi Tapasvishu. So I am the Punyo Gandha Prithivamcha. So from the earth comes the fragrance, the good smell. The original Punyo is the original. Prabhupada translates like that. So the good fragrance comes from the earth. And this is amazing. Maharaj said, from earth like dirt. Dirt comes everything, the fruits and vegetables and flowers and everything is coming from the earth. How is that coming? That's Krishna's energy. It reminds us of Krishna. And Tejas Chasmi, Vibhavaso, like light in the heat. Vibhavaso is the fire, the heat. In the fire, without the heat, we can't exist. Yeah? And Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu is the life of everyone. And then, again in the 15th chapter also, it's like, Yada Aditya Gatam Tejo Jagat Bhasayate Akhilam Yat Chandramasi Yat Chakno Tat Tejo Vidhi Mamakam. So Yada Aditya Gatam Tejo is of the splendor of sun. The light, again it says in the light that's coming in the sun. Otherwise, without the sun, there will be darkness everywhere. So when we see the sun, that should remind us of Krishna. And then we see the moon, the splendors. When we see the full moon day, when you see the moon, it's so beautiful. That splendor. The moon then gives what? Moon also, in the 15th chapter, Krishna explained the moon gives the juice in the vegetable. The aham vaishvanaro bhutva praninam deham ashrita. He's the, again after, becoming becoming, all the water, taste in the water and the energy in the food and the light of the sun and the moon. He's holding all the planets, up in the sky. How are they staying in the sky? So when we see all that, we remember Krishna. Yeah. And when we see the juice of vegetables provided moon, so Krishna says, I become the moon. Yeah? And then we provide the juice of the moon. And he becomes also, not only that, he also becomes the digestion fire. Vaishwanara is the digestion fire, the different types of air in the body. And the fire in the body is Vaishwanara Bhutva. Praninam Deham Ashrita. Yeah. Prana Pan Samayukta Pachamya Annam Chaturvidham. Without the Lord, we can't even digest, we can't take the air, pranavayu, like the incoming and outgoing. Every time, every experience that we have of existence, of consciousness, that should remind us of Lord. This is through the energy, because we can only interact with the energy at our levels. Obviously, when we chant, we remember Krishna. But how do we see Krishna? When we see the energy of Krishna. Now, the next thing is like, is it possible for us to see that? Like, do we all see Krishna like that? I mean, this is the question I have. Is it like, do we all see whenever we drink water, do we remember Krishna? Or when we see the light, do we remember Krishna? Do we see the sun on the moon? Do we remember Krishna? This, or we don't? At least I have to confess, I don't. I know how many times have I seen it, the light and the water and the rain, and I was like, oh wow, thank you, Krishna. Actually, one time we went in a yatra, and it was interesting. We went to a particular place in India. When we go to the Vrindavan area and there are different, they say some water taps, it's very hot, so you can drink water from anywhere. And it was written there, Tasom Apsu Konteya. So someone remember that. Every time you drink water, you can remember that's Krishna. But that's one thing. But how do we develop that attitude of remembering Krishna? Let's take 3 more minutes and then we wind up. So how do we develop that is the big thing. Like when we develop the attitude of gratitude, and that starts at all levels, like whoever has done something for us, when we have the habit of being grateful, like Mataji chanted so nicely, recited so nicely, read so nicely, and everyone's organizing so nicely, and there is temple, devotees are serving. When we have that constant, whenever we get something from anyone, and not just devotees, actually outside of devotees as well, like in one Buckland retreat, we've done a little exercise of expressing our gratitude, and it was amazing. Like everyone was discussing, there just people went down to the level of expressing the gratitude to the bin collectors who come once every week. Like how many people we are grateful to, and what happens in that the mood of gratitude is, it was experienced in that workshop, and so many times we do the workshop, is we suddenly start to feel happier and become happy. And that when we develop this habit of gratitude, this attitude of always being grateful, then it is easier to become conscious and become Krishna conscious, and that's Krishna consciousness. Become conscious of how many things Krishna is giving us in day-to-day life, in moment to moment. And then we develop that habit of gratefulness, and then we remember Krishna. And this is amazing experiences that devotees have shared, and it actually does work. And some people, also, as I was saying before, I don't know, some time ago, that people also keep a gratitude diary to develop this habit of gratitude. And then with that gratefulness, then we slowly and gradually we start to see Krishna everywhere. We start to see Krishna everywhere. Then we develop that personal relationship. Then we see Krishna. When he's there, we will say, yes, this is Krishna. Otherwise, when Krishna was here, not everyone could see him as the Supreme Lord, because there was no gratitude aspect. It was more about me. When we are not grateful, it's all about, oh, I actually deserve it. What is the opposite of gratitude is, actually, I deserve it. That's why I got it. That was Duryodhan mentality. And Arjun and the Pandavas would say, well, we don't deserve, but even then Krishna is giving us so much. That is the mood. That's how we see Krishna. And then Krishna's incarnations, we experience those incarnations through his energies every day. And then someday, and obviously the Krishna going to the serving the deities, as Krishna himself. Krishna appears in so many different ways. But this is the practice of seeing Krishna moment to moment. So we are 50. Thank you so much, devotees. Any point of discussions? Questions?
Hare Krishna, Shyam, Hare Prabhu. It was very nice. The last part, I know Krishna came as different incarnation. The more we think about it, more we talk. I mean, we feel the gratitude. Also, you just mentioned about writing the gratitude list every day. I mean, it's so many people we get help from, little bit here and there, and so if we start writing then we feel how Krishna has arranged this. Without Krishna's energy or Krishna's sanction, this doesn't happen, because Krishna is Paramatma sitting in everybody's heart. So that way he's asking that person to do this. So if we like as you mentioned, if we might make a gratitude list, we will be
grateful all the time. The air we breathe, the sunshine is there, the rain, everything, the water we drink. Like Srila Prabhupada, even the people who were drinking at that time, not just water, intoxication. And Srila
Yes.
Prabhupada said, drink, and that is Krishna.
Yes, he said in the class. Yeah, I think he
Yes,
said in one of the
he
Bhagavatam.
was helping them. He was helping them to see how you can see Krishna. So that was very nice. And only the pure devotee can, help us to understand Krishna that way. So if we take that path, I'm sure it's very beneficial for us, and we can also develop love for Krishna gently.
Amazing, yes.
Thank
Like
you.
Srila Prabhupada was always, even glorifying his disciple, like you've all been sent by my Guru
Yes.
Maharaj and you helped me so much. And even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, like Mahaprabhu would be glorifying all his devotees, when they come for the Rath Yatra, every year for Chaturmas, the devotees from Bengal and from other Orissa, they will all come to Rath Yatra festival. And when they're leaving, Mahaprabhu would start to glorify them one by one, always expressing them gratitude and glorifying. So this is the concept of, it's amazing how we experience.
I was listening to Bhakti Charu Maharaj today this morning. He was in Bengali, and Maharaj was saying that when Srila Prabhupada was at the last stage, when he was not very well, he couldn't sleep, and then sometimes a bed was made for him with the curtain, and then he couldn't sleep. But that he used to find difficult to sleep, and then he used to see on the opposite building all the people who from foreign, they used to come and just to see Srila Prabhupada through that window. They travel so much. And Maharaj was saying that Srila Prabhupada, he was saying that, Prabhupada, when you are there in New York, you had nobody, and I wish I could serve you that time, because Bhakti Charu Maharaj really served he came very late with Srila Prabhupada. And while he was saying, he said, when you were on your own, I wish I could be there too. He said, I was never on my own. Krishna was always with me.
Yeah.
So much faith, with
Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada. I mean, he's just Krishna, he's completely. So more we hear about this, how much Srila Prabhupada has done for us. I think if I understand that how much Srila Prabhupada has done for us, these Bhagavatam, volumes of Bhagavatam, how much the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, without it, we wouldn't be sitting here together today,
Yes.
discussing. It's
Yeah.
just amazing. It's just so amazing. That's why I just feel, we should all help Srila Prabhupada in his mission just by distributing the books, to everywhere. And it's we never had this kind of a books before,
Yes.
so that the people, the whole world can read and get elevated. And, there won't be any more problem in the world if everybody takes a Bhagavatam.
Yeah. Yeah. In the mood of Vasudeva, Mataji. Liberate the whole world. Amazing.
It will be so wonderful. So wonderful.
Yes, Prabhupada
Thank
has
you.
given everything. Krishna has given
Everything.
everything. You just have to take it.
Today we were reading a chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita with Mayapur Institute. Padmanayana Prabhu was saying, and it was chapter 5, verse, I think I forgot the verse. He was how he was describing the whole spiritual world, everything in detail. I mean, just by reading that, it's just heart get purified,
Oh,
It's so nice, and so minutely he was describing how different devotees are there, what kind of a level there. So where would we get this knowledge without Srila Prabhupada? It's
amazing.
just amazing.
Yes.
Sorry, thank you for allowing me to
Thank you
speak.
so much.
I just fell. Thank you.
So
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Very nice class. Thank you.
Thank
Hare
you.
Bo. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey.
Thank you, Prabhu, for a lovely class. Thank you.
Only 10 minutes. I think we read a lot. Only 10 minutes. I was thinking, how do we, use all this? How do we relate to this incarnations? And how do we see Krishna in our lives? So, This is all coming from hearing from different speakers. Nothing is my own. I'm just trying to repeat whatever I was hearing. Thank you so much. Okay, so unless there's any more questions or comments, we can just.
Hare Krishna. Shyam, Hare Guru.
Yes, Krishna Mataji.
Beautiful. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank
Yeah, that's the way we should try to remember. I know we should put it in practice every time you drink water, or every time you look at the sun or the nature, you know, the green grass, you know, the beautiful trees and fruits and flowers. And that way, you know, just reminds you of Krishna, that where it's all coming from. So
Yes, yes.
we have to develop what you call the, I don't know, what do you say? I don't know.
A habit. You
Habit.
form a habit.
Create
Yes.
a way to remember Krishna in
Yes.
every aspect and everywhere.
Other thing I was thinking is when we develop the habit of even, feeling grateful, not before going to Krishna, we have this habit of being grateful to everyone in all aspects, everything that we receive from anyone. Then we have this habit of being grateful. And then we will remember, yes, this is coming from the Lord. And Prabhupada says, like, first become conscious, then you become Krishna conscious. Becoming conscious is only like this, which is, okay, what am I receiving? From whom am I receiving? And, that way become grateful. Thank you, Krishna Mataji.
And Krishna says that if you remember me, you surely will come back to me.
Yes,
Right.
yes. That's the only, yeah. So how do we, thank you, Mani Mataji. Yeah. Remember, and that's the practice of, remembering Krishna is, and then becoming Krishna conscious. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, devotees. Prabhupada ki jai.
Patita Pavadebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
the
Prabhuji.
wonderful
Nice
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat
Thank you,
Pranam.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.